Hey everybody, this is Chelsea Schaefer.
And Caitlin Gustav.
And this is The Score, the official podcast of the sport of team roping. This is the Team Roping Journal's semi-weekly podcast highlighting the team roping industry's top talents and influencers through stories that inspire and connect ropers. We sit down with ropers from the professional ranks as well as industry icons and producers to delve into topics that make the team roping world tick. This is Season 2. It will feature even deeper interviews, storytelling, and issue-based coverage, and we are so excited you're here. Today's episode of The Score is brought to you by Best Ever Pads. They're an American product, and you'll learn more about them later in the episode. It's been some 10 years since Cottonwood, California's Justin Davis rode into the box at the Thomas & Mack with Blaine Linaweaver. But in that decade, Davis has made two iconic horses, both mares, not too coincidentally, in Lil Kim and Shakira. He's won the Columbia River Circuit Finals a couple times, and he's been on the brink of an NFR trip more than once, to no avail. So at 31 years old, Davis is smashing down his hat on a career in sales while seasoning the next great mare to come through his horse program. He and longtime friend Brandon Beers are circuit rodeoing and amateur rodeoing when both men's thriving business careers allow, and they're both using their longtime industry connections to help them excel. Davis stopped to talk to us between visits to feed yards and ranches, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by the conversation.
Hello.
Hey, Justin. How are you?
Good, Chelsea. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for being patient with our absolutely non-existent technology today, which is really frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know why it won't work.
I don't either. We tested it a million times this morning to make sure that it worked, and it was all good. And then all of a sudden it was not. But
yeah, no big deal.
We will make it work this way. This is fine. Just speak clearly. I told Caitlin, if this doesn't work, at least Justin is articulate and doesn't sound like an idiot, because somebody that mumbles terribly or has a really, really thick southern accent, for example, would have been a really big challenge to do this with. But,
can't hear him over the phone.
Yeah, it would definitely not be clear. But, so, we're doing this over the phone this morning or this afternoon because you are out on the road and not out on the road rodeoing. Give our audience kind of an idea of what you are up to this year.
Well, I have a full-time job now, as we did in our last podcast this spring. I'm the manager of the West Coast for Pro Earth Animal Health, which is Zestera and Cattle Active, all natural drench that neutralizes acid. And so I've been driving around getting ranches and feedlots and different places put on our program. Rodeoing a little bit on the weekends with Brandon Beers. Mm-hmm. It's kind of been tough. I actually have mostly been in Oregon rodeoing, so I've been leaving my trailer and the horse up here, and I go home during the weekdays, and I come back on either Thursday night or Friday morning. That's my one day a week I get to practice, and then we go to the rodeo. And you are practicing not just for yourself, too, because you're on a pretty green horse. Give me a little background on that mare. Well, Bliss, little 6-year-old roan that I got through Todd Hampton, come from Benny Gatrone down in Fresno. Yeah, I got her when she was 3, started her when she was 4, heeling on her and just roping the dummy and doing that type of stuff. And she just got a really good mind, and she took to it pretty good. And then I sold Shakira last year, so I really don't have a choice but to ride that one. But fortunately for me, she's doing very well and taking the pressure pretty good, especially being that I'm not going to practice on her like you're saying. Mm-hmm. She's really surprised me with just standing around for the weekdays and practicing. And on her, she's kind of, it's all she needs is one day, really. If after 4 or 5 steers, you get her dialed in and you're good to go.
Is she just so cowy?
She's kind of like an old horse, but she's 6.
That's awesome. Now, is she just dirty cowy? Tell me about her. Tell me a little bit more about her.
Yeah, she's pretty cowy. Obviously, she's a one-time Pepto, as her bloodlines, out of a mare called Blissful. And so she was made to be a reigning cow horse. And that Benny Gatrone, the guy that owned her, he got cancer, and he passed away the same year I bought her. So I actually bought her from his wife. But Todd Hampton and him were good friends, so Todd had her, and he called me and said, hey, I got a 3-year-old mare that has got a great mind. She's never been roped on, but she's going to do it. So I trusted Todd. We're pretty good friends, and so I took her on, and yeah, she has not let me down yet. She's done really good. I've placed on her at the BFI this year with Brandon, and roped with Jake Stanley at the start of the summer. We went to some of the circuit rodeos up here in Oregon, like St. Paul and all those rodeos over the 4th. And then I started roping with Brandon. I actually roped Brandon's horse at Salinas. So that's the other kicker of me and Brandon roping together is he's got a really nice heel horse mare, but she's 6 years old as well. So, I've got 2 of them to ride, but they're both 6. And so it's kind of, at the moment, we've been seasoning mine, and now we need to start seasoning his a little bit more. So I got both of them to ride come next year.
Now, so I've got a couple things to unpack there. So Benny, did he ride before he passed away? Did he ever ride this mare?
Yes, he actually started her, is what Todd told me.
He did.
But then as he got sick, her 3-year-old year, a guy that worked for him was who ended up riding her that year.
Well, that kind of makes her a piece of, like, the Western horse culture history, because he was a legend, and, I mean, that's got to be one of the last horses that he started and put some rides on, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got to be, because I know when Todd called me, Benny and his wife had sold about everything as far as I remember, and they'd kept 2 mares, and one was actually out of a mare that Todd had, and so Todd took her, and then I took the other one. So yeah, that's what when Todd called me and he's like, "Here's the deal. There's 2 horses left over. They're here for a reason."
Yeah, that's cool.
They kind of saved the 2 best ones for the end. It sounds like. So yeah, no, I was very fortunate to have her. She's so pretty. Everybody just loves how pretty she is. That's what they usually comment on her. People walk by, they never even seen her work, and they just want to buy her because she's so pretty. But she's just real easy. She's a horse that for being her age, you'd think that she would screw up more than she does, but you can put her in kind of some bad spots and she tends to recover. I mean, she's still 6. She's not perfect. She's still got some green areas that we're working on, but we're getting through them as time goes on. And honestly, the way me and Brandon have been doing it, we've been going to some amateur rodeos where the steers are really good, and then just a few of the circuit rodeos. So, I mean, we're kind of in seasoning a horse type mode anyway.
Yeah. Now,
so the way we're doing it's helping her big time.
What do you ride her in? Because Benny got famous, or was really famous for riding in hackamores and his bozals. Like, how did you transition her away from that, or are you riding her in a hackamore?
No, I've never rode her in a hackamore.
No.
At the moment, I'm riding her in a short shank Petska.
Gotcha.
And I have also rode her in a less vote. It's a solid mouthpiece with a small port with a roller in it. It's kind of a good transition bit, especially if a horse has a lot of flex. They don't necessarily need something that's going to help them flex. Mm-hmm. She had a lot of flex at the beginning and kind of naturally cowed up to them there and bent her neck. And so I put that bit on her for probably 6 months. And then the last 6 months I've been riding that Petska short shank chain port.
So how does the seasoning process right now fit into your goals for next year and beyond?
The way we've been going about it has been absolutely perfect for her because I haven't been hauling her really hard. It's been easy on her. So I think going into next year, and the way that I've been doing it here lately has proven to me that I can, if I got to send my horse with Brandon this winter to Arizona and I got to fly to some of the rodeos, I think Brandon can keep her in shape and rope on her once or twice a week, and she'll be ready to go when I get to the rodeos.
So are you saying you're making her...
Usually you need an old horse to do that. So
you're making her pretty dummy-proof for Brandon? He can't mess her up?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, exactly.
I'll tell her.
I don't know how much he needs to heel on her, but he can lead her around and pony on her, heel on her a couple times a week on the slow ones.
He's pretty proud of his heeling. Don't tease him too bad. No.
He's pretty solid 9-hitter. I'll give him that.
That's awesome. So you're going to go to some winter rodeos. Tell me game plans for next year beyond flying in and out to some winter rodeos in Arizona.
Well, I think both of us want to do it more than we actually have time to do it. Brandon's very busy too. He's got all these steers. He's got Mexican cattle all over the place. He's got the contracts for all the rodeos, and he's got these World Series ropings and actor ropings. I mean, just last week he had the steers at Walla Walla. He had the steers at Lakeview at the rodeo. Had a jackpot in Lakeview. Had the steers at the West Star roping in Ellensburg. I mean, he's very busy himself.
Yeah.
So, but he's going to go to Arizona regardless in the wintertime. And so what we're thinking is we're not qualified to go to San Antonio or Houston, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. So if we can go to Denver and Fort Worth and San Angelo and, whatever we can get into, and Tucson, of course, and Austin, and make it work to where we can go to 4 or 5 winter rodeos. Then come springtime, all the rodeos come to us anyway in California, so we'll rodeo in the spring regardless. So if we can get lucky and win something in the wintertime and have a little bit of money won to go into the spring, then we'll play it from there. We're not going to be the guys that are chasing it with what we got going on, so it's going to have to be something where we have a good winter and a good spring, and if we got money won and we're up there in the top 15, then we'll put our name down the month of July and try it on.
Yeah, you guys, we can almost say that you've made the circuit finals. I think you're 11th in the Columbia River circuit right now, and that will get you to the circuit finals. That could get you to Kissimmee. Is Kissimmee have they sorted that detail out? Will Kissimmee count next year?
No, it will not.
No,
as far as I know, Kissimmee, that's another thing that kind of sucks, is that they're going to take a year off of accounting pretty much, and then the way I understand it is the year after that, it will count again. So it also counts your bank account, but it's too bad that it doesn't count for the world standings. I think once they start that deal, they need to leave it. I mean, anything that's a PRCA rodeo might as well count for the world standings. Yeah,
it's interesting how it's changing and going back and forth, and who knows? Right. I can't seem to keep up.
And then even for me, for like circuit finals, Pendleton is going to be exactly the last rodeo I go to and the exact amount of rodeos I had to go to be eligible to make the circuit finals. Well, Brandon, he healed in July. He healed at some of the circuit rodeos, and so he doesn't even really have any money won heading anyway, so I won't be able to rope with Brandon at the circuit finals unless we were to win 5,000 or 6,000 at Pendleton next week, which hopefully we do.
I say there's no reason not to.
And I don't even know if we'd heard that the healing rodeos count as a count for the heading, to where if he does make it in the heading, he'll actually have his rodeo count because he healed at some, but we're not real sure on it. So
gotcha.
Probably rope with Jake Stanley if he hadn't already got a partner at the circuit finals, depending on how Pendleton goes.
So you're officially asking Jake Stanley on the score if he's going to rope with you at the circuit finals. That's good. We'll ask.
Well, we already talked about it.
Good. Okay.
We talked about if Brandon didn't make it, that we would rope. So
perfect. All right. Well,
and then after that, we go back to our just normal life out here of working, trying to get these blocks going. We're coming up with a block for Cattle Active and Zestera, which is going to be pretty neat. Have a salt block and a protein block that people can give their cattle, and it'll have Cattle Active in it, or the same for your horse. We'll have Zestera in the blocks for your horses. So that company's just booming right now. We're really growing. We're going through growing pains, but it's a good thing, and we keep moving forward, and it's keeping me busy. I really like it.
I'm going to take a minute to thank Best Ever Pads for bringing you today's episode of The Score. Best Ever Pads are a proud American product designed and made by people who pride themselves in their work. Each pad is 100% made in the USA and made to order. That includes top-grade wear leathers and spine reinforcement. Best Ever utilizes their creative expertise to provide an original, unique product that is on the cutting edge. Designed with insight and made with care, results in a top-quality product. It's Best Ever's mission to use 40-plus years of experience as cowboys and cowgirls to continue producing the highest quality, best-looking saddle pads in the Western market. It's also their goal to have the best customer service and public relations in the industry. It's hard to believe that the brand has been making pads for over 14 years now. They're looking forward to making new acquaintances and continuing their relationships with current friends and customers. And they hope to see you at a show, ranch, or arena near you. For more information, visit besteverpads.com. When you were 21, 22, hustling to make the finals as a kid, did you think you would have a day job at this point of your career? Like, did a day job?
Actually, I remember being that age and saying I was going to rodeo till I was 30. And, I did. I'm 31 now.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I stuck to that word, but no, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, let alone find something this good, though. I've been very fortunate to fall into what I fell into. And all I can thank is Matt Zancanella for that, because he called me for the last few years trying to get me to go to work for him, and I'm glad I finally did, because I got in at the right time, and it's something that as far as it's going to work for me financially for the rest of my life, and that's a job, I could have never pictured having something like this that go this as well as it's going, I guess.
So what does your day-to-day look like? Are you going to feedlots? Tell me about what a day in the life is.
Okay. My phone rings like 97,000 times a day, starting at about 6:30 in the morning, because my company is in South Dakota, so when it's 6 o'clock in California, it's 8 o'clock where they're at. Mm-hmm. So it starts off pretty early, talking on the phone. I do that as well. I have reps that I manage that are out here in California and Oregon, and so I'm talking to them daily, and then I'm going around and I'm going to different places. Like, for example, tomorrow I'm going to Jordan Valley, Oregon to go do a producers meeting. So there'll be a bunch of different ranchers gather at one place, and we feed them a dinner and we tell them about our program and our product. And then the same with the next 2 days after that, I'll go to Idaho for a couple days, and I got to go visit 8 different feedlots over the course of 2 days. And then I'll transition, and I'm going to go back to a rodeo cowboy next week, and I'm going to rope at Pendleton. The coolest thing about it, though, is every rodeo I go to, everybody has a horse, and they have cattle, and it's the word is starting to spread more about our program. So I get people that pursue me and want to hear about it. So everywhere I go, I'm always working.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat. But when I'm at home, I'm basically going around to cow-calf operations and feedlots and talking to them guys. And I got a few feed stores that I have on. You know, we're in over 300 feed stores now. So we went from being in less than 100 a year ago to now we have over 300.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's just keeping up with everybody and answering the phone and making sure their orders are right and getting mineral to them and making sure the trucks are there on time. And it's just it's a job process.
Yeah, answering my panicked phone calls when I have a weanling colicking or an old horse colicking, and how much can I give them? So it seems
yeah, exactly.
It's been cool. It's been great for us.
I love answering them phone calls, because usually they call me back an hour later and they're like, "Thank you so much. You saved my horse," or "You did this, you did that." And so it's great to hear success stories from people.
Now, talking back to the horses, where did your background in making cool horses come from? Because I feel like you've had your hands on a lot of really great, famous horses. Lil Kim, Shakira. Was Slim Shady your other one's name, or am I just thinking of a rapper?
Yeah.
Slim Shady.
No,
yeah.
Slim Shady.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, so how did you grow up, and how did knowing horses and knowing good horse flesh come into your life?
Well, I started off, I grew up, my parents are in the rodeo business, so they have 4-star rodeo company. They put on pro rodeos all over the West Coast. And my dad roped calves and rode bulls, which my mother would not let me go to the rough stock end of it, even though it was all in my backyard because we put on rodeos, which I'm glad she didn't. So my grandfather and my uncles, they all rope very well, and my dad does too. My whole family ropes good. So I started off just roping with them. Well, I lived right next door to my grandpa when I was a kid, my mom's dad, Cecil Nickel. And so I always had a pony, and I'd just ride across the pasture, and me and him would rope. Well, like in the summertime, when I didn't go to school, we would rope in the morning, and we'd go eat lunch, and then we'd go play some golf, and then we'd come back and we'd rope again. Sounds pretty rough, but it was pretty good life. And it all started with a pony. I had a pony named Lucky, and Lucky was, to date, the greatest pony I've ever seen. And somebody would probably argue with me, but he was little, like a real pony, and he was the coolest pony in the world. He could run a 20 in the pole bending, because he never had to really turn. He'd just go in a straight line, and then he'd slide 8 feet and you healed on him. And he was a real heel horse, but he was a pony. I started off on a good horse.
Are there videos and photos of you running poles on your pony that could be?
Oh, there's got to be some. Yeah, they're going to be so old, that they're on the old school camcorder that you have to put on your shoulder. But
gotcha.
Yeah, there's got to be some. I'm sure my mom's got some old tape somewhere of them.
I'm going to get your mom's phone number. But anyways, go on.
That pony was so good that I rode him until I really couldn't ride him anymore. I rode him until I was almost 13 years old because I never wanted to get off of him. And anyways, I finally graduated from him, and I went through some horses, and we, bought them and traded them around, and kind of went through some growing pains. Well, then I ended up with a couple nice young horses that were from a ranch right there where I grew up, and we bought them as 2-year-olds. And one of them, he was just a good horse. We did every event on him. Me and Brock and Spencer and Russell, we rode him at every amateur rodeo. I heeled on him. We all roped calves on him. Spencer would head on him. We hazed on him. He couldn't run very hard, but we got by on him. And he was just a great horse. But he didn't have the spark that it took to be a pro rodeo horse. Well, then I had his half-brother as well, and I kind of screwed him up at an early age because I took him to the amateur rodeos as a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I was just being a kid. I was 16 years old. And he was a great horse, and if I'd had him in today's world, he was as fast as they came, and he could stop really hard. Well, I got him so short that by the time you took him to a jackpot in a rodeo when I was 20, when the head rope went on, he'd just stop. And so we went to roping calves on him, and actually sold him. Doug Clark sold him for us to Blair Burke, and then Blair Burke sold him for a lot of money to Riley Pruitt. So he was a really nice horse. Well, backing up a step, the sawhorse that we all rode, I traded that horse straight across for Slim Shady when I was 18. And that horse, Slim Shady, was one that made me, because he was so much horse, more horse than I've ever rode to date. And I had to learn to be a better pilot to operate that horse. And once I got him going and whatnot, he was just amazing. I mean, he won Reserve World Champion Heel Horse in 2009 and did it all while being injured and was just tough, and he was an awesome horse, really was. But he got hurt too much because he tried so hard. He tore 4 deep flexors and suspensories. I mean, he's done everything.
And how big was he? He was little, right?
He was 14. He was 14'1", but he weighed about 1150. He was just a tank, and he was lightning fast. He was one of the few horses you could haze a steer on at Salinas, And so he was a game changer to me because he was so fast, so athletic, and stopped so hard. And he really, towards the end of his career, when I got better with my riding and roping, and he kind of calmed down, he was almost too much horse there for a while. He would literally heel the feet for you, is how I put it into terms. He would always have you in the right spot and make the corner perfect, and it was just like, throw. And so that horse right there is what really gave me an idea of how a heel horse is supposed to work at the highest level there is. And learning the things I had to do to make him, he kind of wanted to do it on his own sometimes, and at first he'd drop his shoulder and things like that. And I had to really make him work correct. And so then I got Lil Kim after him, or while I had him, and she was my backup the whole time that I had Slim Shady. Well, the reason Lil Kim got famous and whatnot, got rode more, is because Slim Shady was always hurt. And so if he wasn't hurt, he was better than her. But she was as good of a backup as you could ask for. And so little Kim, on the other hand, she was kind of a freak of nature. She kind of did it herself. And I just started her off with the basics. But that horse, she naturally she was bent, lifted in the shoulder, and always kept her nose tipped in. And she was always in the right spot at the right time. She wasn't the fastest horse in the world, but you would always get to where you needed to be. And then Shakira, kind of the same thing. Actually, she come from a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, J.C. Neeson, and he showed her ran cow horse stuff and heeled on her, and so she was already a heel horse, and all I had to do when I got her was just make her fit me and kind of take her to the next level, and that just required runs and just roping the smarty and just doing things the right way.
And you've
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you've had to make some tough decisions to sell these good horses, though. I guess not Slim Shady, right? You still have him, or is he's still around?
No, yeah, I still got Slim. He's 20, and he's sound, and he's turned out, and I want to ride him so bad I can't take it, but I know as soon as I do, I'm going to hurt him again. So he doesn't owe me anything, so he's turned out. But
you have sold Lil Kim, you've sold Shakira. Now, you sold Shakira just within the last year, and you're wanting to go rodeo again. Do you question that decision? Do you miss her?
Yes, I do, and no, I don't at the same time, because she's 14 years old, she's little, and I don't know, her value wasn't going to increase if I kept her much longer, and I knew I wasn't going to rodeo this year, so it would have been financially dumb of me not to sell her at the time. Do I wish I had her right now? Yes. There's a lot of times I go to some of these rodeos where I just need an old campaign or heel horse. So it is what it is. I got 2 6-year-olds now, counting mine and Brandon's. So there'll be 7 next year when we show up, but they're going to be advanced, very advanced for 7-year-olds.
Absolutely.
So it's just kind of, it is what it is. And I've looked. It's just, you know how it is. It's hard. I mean, everybody's looking for the next heel horse. I'm not against paying some money to have one that's 10 years old or 11 years old I can just load in the trailer and count on it to operate every time. But I'm starting to get that way with my little roan. I mean, she's a little bit green still, but I think by next year will be good enough.
Now, are you a huge fan, like all in on the Rain Cow Horse rejects, or what's your preference?
Yes, I am. My thought process on a cutting horse versus a reining cow horse is a cutter never learns to run, and they use their front end a little bit more than a reining cow horse. Where a reining cow horse, they learn to take cattle down the wall, and they have to open up and run, and then have to use their butt and turn the cow back. So it's kind of similar to heeling to me, is they got to get around the cow, they've got to slide around the corner and turn in. And like Slim Shady, that was why he was always so strong, is going down the arena, you get caught pulling on him. Well, he wanted to get to their head. If you would let him get up there, he would stop. He would just idle right there. But just from being a reining cow horse, that was where he naturally wanted to go, which worked out pretty neat because I could be late, and he was so fast, and he wanted to get there, so I could be late and just let the reins go to him, and away he'd go, and he'd get around there. Yeah. So for me, that's where I'm always shopping. All of those horses that we've talked about, every one of mine has all been a reining cow horse.
Yeah.
Lil Kim, on the other hand, they did cut on her some, but she was kind of an exception for it. But she did both. But as far as me, when I go shopping, that's what I shop for, is reining cow horses, because they already know how to run, they already know how to slide, stop, and turn.
Yeah.
So you kind of already have a corner established there a little bit. You just got to back them off as far as like, no, we're not going to get this close. We're not going to run past him. We're going to stay here. But for me, I had a lot better luck with reining cow horses.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Now, have you been watching the World Standings? This is going to come out on Thursday, early in September. Have you been watching it at all? Who's your pick on the bubble right now?
Well, just a little bit. I kind of looked at it last week because I was up there in Ellensburg. To be honest with you, I hadn't looked at it really at all, other than a couple of my friends, seeing where they're at here and there. But I know that Tate Kirschenschlager did a great job last week at Ellensburg. I think he was 16th before that, and he come in there and won it. Yeah. I think he secured a spot, which is great. Tate's an awesome guy. I'm very happy for him. And as far as the other guys, man, I don't know. I don't want to say any names. I mean, obviously, I'm rooting for Spencer. I hope he can pull it off. He's got some work to do, but I hope he can do it.
Yeah. He's 18th right now with 58,000 as of Wednesday, September 4th. He is 18th. Yeah. So, oh man, it's
So he needs to win because 18th is the same as 50th.
Yes, yes it is. But 58,000 is, I mean, a Pendleton win could do great things. So it's hard to say.
You never know until it's over, and Pendleton decides a lot of it. It's kind of the tour finale nowadays. We don't have Omaha's big money at the end.
Yeah, man, Omaha, those were the days. Things are different now, for
those
sure.
Those were the days. And I wish that the PRC, I hope the PRC is listening. We need Puyallup and Omaha back the way it used to be. You could go to Omaha the end of September and win 30,000. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, Omaha, to me, and I don't have a strong opinion as far as the PRCA administrative, the way I just remember Omaha was like the crown jewel, the exclamation point at the end of the season. Like, it was like the playoffs or the AFC championship game, or, it was.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
When I made the NFR, Blaine Linaweaver, who I wrote with at the NFR, and we go to Omaha, and it was kind of the last rodeo. Well, I had the finals made pretty much from the guys that were entered there. Nobody could really pass me. And so Linaweaver, he tells me he's like 15,000 out of making the finals, or 12,000, whatever it was. And before the rodeo even starts, he's like, "Hey, you want to rope at the NFR?" And I kind of looked at him funny, and I was like, "Well, you got to make it first." Well, you know how Blaine is. He's got what you got to have. He's got confidence. And he had Rich Skelton Hill for him over there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to make it." Well, surely he wins 25 grand, wins Omaha, and makes it.
Yeah. Well,
so that was where Omaha was pretty neat.
Absolutely. Even just doing my job, now the last week of the season, I have to pay attention to like 50 rodeos. Not 50, but like sure enough 10. And worry about who's doing what and where everybody's rodeo count is. It used to be nice because we would just go to Omaha and watch it in person, kind of all unfold and know what was getting done. And it was great. And there was always a really cool story out of Omaha, somebody that did their job and executed. So, yeah, it was a different day.
No, I kind of miss it. It'd be cool if we could get it back to being a tour finale again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Well,
that's what I'm hoping for. And my goal for me and Brandon next year would be to, like everybody else, go to 40 rodeos to make the NFR, which is virtually impossible. But you never know. Kyle Lockett.
I was gonna say, yeah, Kyle Lockett definitely showed everybody how you can do it. Did you guys go to any American qualifiers? Or are you?
No, we haven't done anything as far as that goes yet. No.
Gotcha.
We need to. We're going to need to go to some this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Somehow. Because they're going to give somebody a lot of money like they did Coleman and Ryan. Might as well be you.
I know they are. Yeah, might as well be. They're going to have to give it to someone.
Yep. Might as well
and
be.
If you can get in on the qualifying part of it, you can get it all, like Ryan and Coleman.
Absolutely. Well, Justin, I will.
That's our plans.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see you guys out there, and I will let you get back to calling on feedlots and doing your day job because I really appreciate talking to you all the time. So thanks so much, Justin.
Anytime, Chelsea.
All right. Have a good trip. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Well, thank you to Justin for visiting with us, for taking the time today. And before we go, I want to let you know, you've got to check out the Ride podcast. It's by Horse and Rider magazine. It's one of our sister magazines, and I think you're really going to enjoy the profiles that they've got coming out this month. There's some really fun stories, horse stories about amazing horses, about amazing horsemen, and what they've done to help drive the horse industry forward. I think there's a lot of overlap in team roping, so you'll get to learn more. So thank you all. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know I did, and we will talk to you next week. Remember, Best Ever Pads sponsored this episode of The Score with Justin Davis. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook at Best Ever Pads and online at besteverpads.com. To call their office and place an order, it's 805-528-8009.